Well, listen, it's 7:06. People are still coming in, but let's call the meeting to order, and we could do the housekeeping stuff that really nobody cares about anyway. Okay, so welcome everybody.
Thank you.
I'm
Welcome.
going to welcome. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to put up the agenda. Marianne, we're going to move right to you. Let's do the approval of the March minutes. Would you like me to share the minutes, Marianne, or do you want to do it?
Can you do it since you're already sharing? Would it be
Absolutely,
easier?
I can.
All right.
Now we could just have everyone look at them and we could waive reading if that's easier.
That's easier because I'm working on a smaller computer this time.
That's
so
no
I can't
worries.
See. Yeah.
So everyone received a copy of this in the email today. We're going to leave it up here for a few minutes so that you could peruse it. And if no one has any questions or comments, we'll just move to have it approved that way. Okay, does anybody have any questions about the minutes? If anyone wants to put it in the chat or raise their hand or somehow indicate that you have an issue, please do so now.
I have one hand raised. Oh no, that's my hand.
You're just trouble today, Marianne.
I am. It's because I'm on a different computer. Like everything's just wrong today. Somebody asked when picture day is.
Okay,
I think we're gonna go over that later, right?
Yeah, we're going to go over that later. We know the date's in May sometime. We'll figure that out. I think Carla, you know. He's unmuted. Okay, so let's get down to business. Can I get a motion to approve? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes, please?
Motion.
Thank you, Madeline. Second, anyone?
Second.
Thank you very much. So the minutes are approved. Wonderful. Thank you so much. So now we'll move to the treasurer's report. I'm going to share my screen one more time. So we did have a really good month. We started out with $67,966 and change. We received a bunch of money that was sitting in checks that were at the school because we weren't allowed in the school. We actually finally got to pick them up, and those totaled $2,800 and $2,814. We got a $200 matching corporate, so we did super well for a total of $3,014 in income. And we paid for the water supply that we always do. We did staff appreciation to welcome back our wonderful teachers who are going above and beyond. And we also gave a teacher grant for an event that Miss Siddiqui did actually it was in November. So the total expenses were $1,646, which left us with a total of $69,334.07. And if you scroll down, here's the bank statement. And at the bottom of that, the ending balance for the month ending March 31st is $69,334.07. It all matches up. You couldn't ask for anything better. Okay, so great. So I'm going to stop the share and we can move on to the rest of the show. Okay, graduation update. So graduation is on Friday, June 18th, and we're going to be at MCU Park in Coney Island. Mr. Berman has worked his magic, and this venue is being provided by the school at no cost to our families. It's a fabulous thing. I want to thank him. I'm going to thank him 20 different times tonight. MCU Park, though, requires, as all of these venues do, be it Yankee Stadium, Shea, Arthur Ashe, they're all requiring the same thing, which is pretty stringent testing requirements, okay? They need everyone to provide proof of vaccine, and I just want to shout out because I got my second shot on Sunday. I encourage everyone to do likewise as soon as they're eligible. 16 and up are eligible to get their shot. The Army Terminal, the Brooklyn Army Terminal in the neighborhood, 59th Street and 2nd Avenue, they now have walk-in appointments. So if you're eligible, and now all of us should be, please go down there. It's the best thing in the world to get us back to normal and get the vaccine. I'm sorry I segued, but I wanted to get that little public service announcement in there. So they require proof of vaccination, right, which I would have. And but our kids and some of our families, they may not be vaccinated. So it also, one of the other options is a negative COVID test within 72 hours for a regular test or 6 hours for a rapid test. So trying to support our families, one of our SLT members, Hong Ti, pointed me in the direction. I was able to arrange for a testing company, Rapid Test New York City, to come to the school on June 15th, which is 3 days before, and they're going to provide testing for whoever of our graduating students and their families who might need them. Okay, Mr. Berman, Ms. Siddiqui, Ms. McGar, they're all working on the logistics. We're going to figure it out right now. But again, I want to thank Mr. Berman for allowing this to happen and providing this service to our families. And we're going to have further details about how it's actually going to look when it gets a little bit closer. Also, I do have to share some things with everybody. So last year there was some parents, this is not a secret, that were unhappy with the graduation experience, right? I took that criticism to heart, and I feel badly that they felt that maybe we didn't do as a PTO enough to help them. So, this year, and I know Mr. Berman, listen, Mr. Berman wants to serve this community. The entire staff wants to serve our community. So I know that this year, everyone's been working very hard to have the best graduation experience possible, for our kids, all right? That's why we're going above and beyond in everything we do. And the thing at MCU Park, we're going to be streaming that live on our YouTube channel. That's an extra cost that he was able to cover, and we're going to get it out there so that everyone's going to be able to experience this, whether they're remote or whether they're there virtually, and we're going to send it out all over the world. So it's great for everybody. And as we get closer, again, we'll have more details on what this is going to look. Now, my daughter Morgan is not graduating this year, so none of this impacts her. But my philosophy, what I try to do, whether it's in this role or any other role, is I try to do for everyone else what I would do for myself or for my family, right? To that end, I tried to facilitate an approximation of our 8th grade dance, right? It's not a dance, right? But I had arranged for the same venue, Encore, on 99th Street and 4th Avenue with the same DJ. This is a public restaurant, legally open to everybody. And I'd arranged that on the night of June 2nd, anybody who wanted to bring their kids could bring their kids, and they could sit around tables, listen to music, and celebrate with their friends. I indicated that it was not a DOE event. I indicated that it was not a PTO event. It was just parents meeting up with their children in a public restaurant and complying with whatever guidelines are in effect at the time, right? It's not up to me. It's not up to anybody else. It's up to the Department of Health and whatever regulatory units are tasked with making sure that the restaurants comply with the guidelines, right? Nothing to do with us at all. It was just a service that I wanted to do for my 8th grade families. Well, somebody didn't like that for whatever reason. So they complained to the mayor, the chancellor, whoever. And because of that, the PTO can no longer send out emails through our school site, which is fine. I mean, it's certainly, again, I thank Mr. Berman for allowing me to use the emails for as long as we did. I certainly don't want him to get any flack for this. We'll deal with it as a PTO next year by collecting emails or using some other mechanism. If you are a parent and you're interested in the meetup, you have to check WeChat and Facebook for updates. Next year, we'll figure out a way to get emails, and we'll just move on, right? It is what it is. I'm still going to do whatever I can to try to help my families, right? I'm going to try to do whatever I would want done for me and my child. I'm going to try to do that for your children as well. And just to just to show you that I don't mind getting into further trouble, I'm also trying to facilitate a meetup after the graduation at the restaurant next to the Ford Theater. Okay, we used to have our previous graduations at the Ford Theater. They are associated with a restaurant there. And, you know, we had contracts, we had a 3-year contract with them. So we have a relationship with the owners, and they've agreed to have a prefix menu for the IS 187 graduation for our families. They could take 150 people. Again, it's a public restaurant, and all I'm doing is facilitating it so that our parents can meet up in a public place with other parents, right? Vito Labella is not making any money on this. I'm not getting a kickback from the restaurant. The PTO is not making any money. It's just something that we're doing to facilitate a nice experience for our families who might want to go out and celebrate after the graduation. Okay, does anybody have any questions on that in the chat? Anybody? Okay.
So, Mr.
Don't see
LaBelle,
any
as a follow-up to your question about us not getting emails from you through Pupil Path, so that's ending as of now, or for next year you're talking about?
It's from now and forever, right? Unless I decide to get a lawyer and
Thank you.
and go further. But Mr. Berman and Carla, you know, they are wonderful. I'm going to give them whatever information I want to send out. They'll look at it and they'll send it out to you. They've been so helpful to us. And certainly I appreciate everything that they do to support us. Okay. All right, so let's go on to class pictures. Yes, we are going to have class pictures. The graduation pictures are going to be self-taken, but for families who want to have a professional photo, we are going to be sending out emails, and I believe that's happening toward the end of May. Right, is that right, Carla? Do you have it?
I have the dates, but I don't have my planner. I believe it's the 17th, 18th, the 20th. It's the 3rd week in May.
3rd week in May. Wonderful.
And we did send that information out, so families do
I
have
just
that.
don't have it handy.
We'll be sending out reminders too, so don't worry. And you can register online for the photos. You can pay online for them. Have everything ready to go. Whether you're remote, if your child is blended and going to school, they'll get regular envelopes like they always do for picture day. And this year it's really a service that the PTO is providing, and we're grateful for that. And just like the COVID testing for graduation, that's a great service. Thank you very much for
That is amazing.
Lest I forget to thank you for that on behalf.
And thank you for allowing it. You know, I mean, everybody's so worried about liability. You know, it takes a brave person to do anything outside of the ordinary. So with that, the CEC elections are coming up. You have to go to your My Schools account. You get 3 votes per child. So if you have 2 children in K to 8, you would have 3 votes per child. So you would click on your first child and you see all the candidates, and you could vote for 3 of them. It's not like American Idol. You can't vote for 3 votes for the same person. You got to pick 3 separate candidates. You would then go to your next child, and you would see, and you can vote again for either the same 3 candidates or different 3 candidates. It's up to you, but that's how they're working it. It's one group of votes per child. So like, it's not like the PTO where both guardians might have a vote. It's by the child, not by the guardian. Okay, it's different, I understand, but that's just the way they decided to do that. As far as elections go, we also have PTO elections next month. Very important. It's been a tough month. Our recording secretary is leaving us. Our treasurer is leaving us. Marianne has volunteered. I begged her to act as a nominating committee person. She could certainly use a couple of people to work with her on that. If you're interested in helping Marianne, or if you're interested in running, please, we really need a recording secretary. We really need a treasurer. There are other positions available, but we could do those in September. We just need those 3 to get the job, to keep an active PTO. Yes, vice president for fundraising is up. All positions are up for, all the positions are up for election or re-election. So president, vice president, treasurer, recording secretary, vice president fundraising, and also some that haven't been filled, but we could fill if we had interest. So we'll be sending something out in the near future. And I can't beg enough to please join the PTO, even if it's just for 1 year, right? Even if you're going to be an 8th grader next year and you have experience, you'd like to help out, that would certainly be very, very welcome. Okay, SHSAT, high school admissions, they are coming. If the past is any guide to the future, they'll be released on a Friday afternoon so that the people in power can run away and hide for the weekend and let the dust settle. I expressed concern at our SLT meeting. I know in the past our wonderful counseling staff has really been tuned in to our children, and any children who get results that they may not like and are stressed out about that, have a resource and something to fall back on. So Ms. Siddiqui, Mrs. D, Ms. Bishop, they're going to have a process that they're going to check in with our kids just to make sure that everybody's okay when they get these results. And listen, nothing is the end of the world, right? If something doesn't happen, if you don't get this job, if you don't get this school, you know what? You'll get another school, you'll get another job. We move forward, we make the best of it. And that's what resilience is about, right? That's what we want to teach our kids. That's what we have to model. So if my child, if your child didn't get the results we wanted, okay, that's just the way it is. We move forward, we make the next best choice that we can. I believe that the results for the non-specialized high schools, including the screen programs such as Lord Hamilton Honors and Murrow and the other screen schools, they're coming out, I believe, in the middle of May. So it'll be like a 2-week lag between the SHSAT schools and the other screened high schools. And of course, our wonderful staff will be there to support us then as well. Okay, so state regions test and G&T admissions policies. I'm going to defer that to Mr. Berman. He can give an update on what's going on. G&T admissions policies, they still have not come up with a plan for what G&T will look like going forward. We asked FACE what they were doing to get input from the communities, and they said, well, there's a working group out there and they're deciding on it. If you read the news, you'll see a group of DOE educators have petitioned the DOE to do away with them, to do away with all G&T programs, all screen schools, because they are a driver of segregation. And, that's just something that, I disagree with. I think that there's better ways to address these issues than getting rid of these programs. And that's something for the CEC and for our elected officials, including the next mayor, to determine. So your vote is important. Vote for the CEC, vote for the PTO, and also vote for elected officials and let them know what's important to you. That's probably the best thing we could do. So with that, I'm going to give it over to Mr. Berman. This has gone really well, I think. Anybody have any questions for me before how do we vote for CEC or for, didn't catch which Friday does the SHSAT else gets released? So we don't know when the SHSAT is going to get released. Let me back up. I apologize. We don't know when it is. It could be from now until the end of the month. I said traditionally it's been on a Friday, so it'll be this Friday or the next, but it could be any time. As far as MCU, the great thing about MCU is I believe there's enough space to have as many people as we want. Mr. Berman can chime in if that's incorrect, but definitely at least 2 per child. Voting for CEC, yes. So you have to go to My Schools account, and then you'll see your child or children. You click on that, And then there's a tab will come up with the CEC elections and which candidates are there. So if you have a child in high school, you can vote for the citywide high school board. If you have a child in elementary school, you could vote for the local District 20 CEC board. And I'm going to get maybe a video. There's a video out there exactly stepping it through, step 1, step 2. I'll try to find that and I'll put that up there on our.
I sent that video out. Vito,
You sent that to everyone?
I did send it out on Pupil Path 2 days ago, I believe.
Oh, there we go. I knew I saw it somewhere, Carla.
Is it ranked voting for the CEC or is it pick any 3?
Oh, it's pick any 3 because there's 9 candidates. And so you want to pick 3. I would have thought you should be able to pick 9. It's like when you see the judges on the ballot and you have this whole list of judges and you're supposed to pick however many to fill all the spots. I don't know how they came up with 3 when there's 9 parent elected positions. But what do I know?
They have to go to mystudent.nyc. It's not my schools, mystudent.nyc.
Okay, great. Thank you, Carla. Could you put it in the chat?
Sure.
Everything else right though, right? As far as clicking on your kid?
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions? Any raised hands or anything in the chat? Okay. And Mr. Berman, I think we're ready for you.
Everyone, it's a pleasure to be able to join you tonight, and thank you all for coming. Almost 100 people here at this April meeting on a lovely April evening. So I'm very, very glad and grateful. It's really parents who are so important to what we do, and I hope that you'll continue to be involved. I know we're concerned and looking forward to PTO elections as well, which will be coming up soon. I'm not sure if you're going to have an opportunity to talk about that a little bit, Mr. Labella, but I do know that we're always looking for parents to be engaged, not just by coming to meetings, but also to become even more involved. And so I would encourage anyone who's interested in doing that to keep an ear out for more information coming regarding that. Mr. Labella mentioned MCU Park. And yes, we're happy to be able to have an outdoor venue for graduation. And we're to be sure there are stringent requirements for entry, which Mr. Labella talked about, and of course all other safety protocols will be followed that venues of this type have to follow. Right now, they are also at 6 feet. They're not at 6 feet. They have not reduced that to 3 feet. And as we get closer to the graduation date, which is June 18th at 9 a.m., as we get closer to that date, we'll be providing more information to our families. I do hope right now we can certainly fit every graduate and 2 guests. I hope that we will have a tremendous turnout for graduation, while at the same time we know that some folks may not be able to attend. I hope every graduate and family can attend, and the virtual streaming will be for maybe grandparents and other relatives in other places. But we do understand if there are things that would prevent our families from going. So we're really happy to be able to provide an in-person experience for graduation and also that virtual experience. We're also in the process of planning out what this graduation is going to look like. Perhaps certainly a little bit different than our typical graduations because of the social distancing requirements and things like that. But that doesn't mean that we can't do interesting and honorable and respectful things to celebrate this really major milestone in your children's and your family's lives. It truly is a majorly important event, and certainly worthy of our respect and celebration. And so we're happy to be able to do that there at MCU Park. If you're wondering about the weather, we're worried about the weather a little bit too, of course, as always. But as part of our graduation sort of package, there will be some Krista McCullough ponchos, just in case, that we can have ready to go. And once we have those, we know it won't rain. It's sort of like, you know, when you buy the snow blower and it doesn't snow for like 5 seasons. So we'll be happy about that. Any questions about graduation or some of the requirements or anything else graduation related? Let's check the chat on that. Okay. I'll go on, and we can certainly circle back to that if there are any questions at the end too. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the Ela testing that started today and will be going on the rest of the week. We had a really smooth day. Our team worked tirelessly to schedule and communicate and get all this information out and get everything ready for the students. So that's been great. You know, it's really something when you think that we have it's April. What is today? April 20th, and we have 6th graders. This is the first day they've ever stepped foot in our building. I mean, that's just wild. But you know, but it went really smoothly, and that's just a testament to the great work that our team did planning all of those things. I wanted to talk about the return of students for April 26th. If you recall, there was an opt-in window for families to come back from remote learning to blended learning. That is going on. The problem that we have at the middle school level is that the distancing requirements have not changed from 6 feet to 3 feet. That is a possibility in the elementary schools, and there are some elementary schools who are doing that. But we do have a small percentage of families who are planning on coming back on April 26th. And we're going to be communicating with those families because, unfortunately, the kind of experience that we were planning can't happen unless there's a 3-foot change. The 3-foot change allows us, of course, to expand. And right now we are at capacity. That was our intent all along, to bring, and we have brought back students 5 days a week, starting from, I guess it was in January and February, when the DOE allowed us to start bringing students back 5 days a week. And we started with all of offering this to all of our students with disabilities at first, and then on with other students too, who really needed that intensive work. And we're at capacity. So it's a problem, and it's something that that we need to really deal with over the next couple of days. There aren't a large number of families involved, but even if just one family is not happy with the options. That's not good for, that's not okay with us. So we need to work with those families, and we certainly will. And we'll be reaching out to those families over the next couple of days to talk about what those options are. I'm hopeful that the requirements will change from 3 feet to, from 6 feet to 3 feet. In fact, if they do change from 3 feet to 6 feet, what we will be able to do is accommodate every blended student 5 days a week. That's what we've planned for. That's what we're ready to do in an instant. 5 days a week, everybody, regular school, all of the blended students. So that's the alternative that we were hoping for. That was the bill of sale that we understood when this window opened, that was about the 3 foot change. So more to come very soon on that, especially if you're one of those families. The final thing I wanted to talk about was our budget and some of the things that you may be hearing about in the news, which is going to be really good for schools. We're really looking forward to that, and we're of course we're always happy when there's extra funds coming our way. We need to be very alert and aware of what's going on with the budgets. And I think there's been a lot of talk about equity and fairness. And I want to make sure that we get our fair share as well. And I'll certainly be monitoring those developments very, very carefully. We happen to have been in the very fortunate position for probably since our school opened. And I honestly don't know how these policies originally started, but you might see there was something in the newspaper today, I believe, about funding schools at 100% of what they're entitled to. For a long time, there's been a disparity in a lot of schools, and I don't know why it has been that way or why the formulas were skewed to favor some schools or others. I know that some schools were funded at less than 100%, and some schools were funded at more than 100%. Our school is always funded at more than 100%. I don't know why, but we have. Usually we're funded at 102% or something like that. And then unfortunately, there were always schools that were funded at 95% or 98%. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but 2% of a lot is a lot. So I think there will be some equity. I hope they don't decide, well, you were 102%, now you'll be 100%. And then that would be a good thing for us. That would not be a good thing for us. That would be a very, very bad thing for us. So I don't want to really end on that, but on that sort of note, but I will tell you, I'm just so proud of what I see going on in school with the work that our students are doing, both on site and remotely. And they've really been great. I know how hard this has been. This is the other thing that I did want to talk about as well. But I know how hard they've been working, and I know that they're really looking forward to getting back to a real school experience. And I know we all are too in September. But in between now and September, the city is planning a summer program for all students. And right now it looks like all middle schools are going to be open over the summer. And middle school students will be able to go to their middle school for academic programs and other programs. The program has not really been fleshed out to answer some detailed questions, but it looks like there'll be an academic component available in the morning, and then some other programs similar to what would go on in an after-school program in the afternoons. Again, I'm not sure about how many students and what the requirements are, and this is information that is pretty much hot off the presses and coming out now. And yeah, so that's pretty much what I wanted to report on. I'm happy to answer any questions about any of those items, or anything else that parents might have questions about. So,
Mr. Berman, there's a question in the chat about start times. There was a conflict, I guess. Can you just address that, please?
let's take a look at the question. Start times. Students should report at 8:30. I'll check that email. What do the children do after they finish? They'll be with their teacher and the students in the same classroom.
Would current grade 8 students attend summer school at 187 or their high school? Good question.
That is a good question. I don't know.
That's a really good question. Nobody knows.
But I'm going to write that down and hopefully get an answer for us.
Usually when they run summer programs for 8th graders who are going to 9th grade, they go to the middle school programs. They don't go to the high school program. So it's the grade that you finished. So you go back to the middle school. So that's how they've done it for summer enrichment programs in the past. So if your child finished
Right.
7th grade, they put you with the 7th grade group, not the 8th grade group. If your child finished 8th grade, they go with the 8th grade group, not the 9th grade group.
Yeah, this is a different thing for us. We normally don't have summer programs. Yeah, but thank you, Mrs. Ortiz.
You're welcome.
That's obviously, that makes a lot of sense.
Some testing questions, sir.
Yeah, well, they'll finish the ELA certainly before the exam, before 2 p.m., but they'll be dismissed at 2 p.m. Yes.
There's a question about the regents. Anything official on the regents? And then a question, are the kids allowed to leave early after their ELA exam?
The children cannot leave the building on their own. A parent can always sign out a child. So those are arrangements that you can make on your own. But no, we won't dismiss children on their own. If you wanted to pick your child up, you can come sign in, go to the main office and sign out your child. You could certainly do that after the exam if you wanted to. As far as the regents, yes, that is still planned to be administered. So yes.
May I ask how many students actually opted to take the ELA?
Few hundred. I don't have the exact numbers. I can get them for you though.
I was just curious, as if more people decided to just not send their kids, or if more people decided to send them because there is a test and they want to see how they're doing.
What was the last thing you said about there was a test? What?
No, well, I know some people are just eager to have their kids test whenever they can, just to have a better idea of how they're doing. So I was curious as to how many, what the percentage is, how many parents decided to just opt out because they were already remote, and how many decide to send their kids in, just to give it a try.
We can find that out really easily now. In fact, Carla, if you text Stephanie, she'll tell us right away. But in the meantime, we'll get that data for you. But in the meantime, you reminded me of something very, very important, and thank you for that. And I'll tell you what it is in a moment. But I do want to answer the question in the chat about children leaving at 2 p.m. without a parent. Yes, that's The regular dismissal, no parent is required. Will dismiss the children. But if it's your child's first day at school, please, make good arrangements so that they know where to meet you or how they want to get home. Of course. Along the lines of testing, we just had a principals conference today with our superintendent and got some additional information about a district-wide assessment in math and ELA that's going to take place at the end of May and in the first week of June. This is going to be through a company called iReady, and they are going to prepare and administer this district-wide exam to try and help identify any sort of patterns or holes in learning that may have occurred over the course of the school closure and working in this sort of new way. And I'm looking forward to looking at some of the data, and hopefully that data is going to provide us with valuable information to help guide us in our planning for the summer and for next year. So that's something to look out for. There will be a letter from the superintendent going home within the next few days, I would say, to provide you with even more information about what that assessment is. I'm going to call it a no stakes assessment. It's not going to be used for anything other than to inform our teachers, our administration about where our students are at, and in as standardized a way as we possibly can. The ELA is one way to do that, but I'm afraid I have very little confidence in the ELA data this year, and I'm not even sure when we're going to get that data. The ELA data is never really timely. This iReady data will be available to us very, very quickly, and it will be much more actionable than any kind of data from the ELA exam. So we're looking forward to that. Let's see. Carla, can you confirm about the arrival time too, please, as well? Whether it's
Okie dokie. Well, she's doing the count now.
great. 8th graders are only opting. There was no 8th graders were able to opt in for the math as well. That was also on the form. If you had any issues and you weren't able to opt your child in, please send an email and we'll make sure that that we get that. Can the kids bring their phones to school on the testing day but leave it in their backpacks? No. They can bring their phones to school, of course. They'll be collected before they enter the testing room, and then they're stored outside the testing room so that if they go off, it's not a testing violation or anything like that. And then we give them back to them. So yeah. So math regents for 8th graders. Sorry, you're welcome. Yes. Math regents for 8th graders who are remote. That's a good question. We don't know. I do believe they may have, there may be some more information about the regents coming out soon, but I do not have an answer for those remote students. I know it's not June 18th. It's going to be around that time, but it's definitely not June 18th.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. Berman,
Yes, you have some numbers.
arrival
for us?
time is 8 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
Stephanie has confirmed, and
My
we have a
apologies.
total of 344 kids
All
opting
right.
in for ELA.
Thank you, Carla.
You're
All
welcome.
right. There we,
Thank you, Stephanie.
there we have it, 8 o'clock and 3:44. All right. Are the phones stored individually? Yes, they are. That's not a bad idea. You could certainly send them with a Ziploc bag. Be my guest. It's a great idea. And, you know, we have hand sanitizer and masks and things like that for anybody who needs. I think, yeah. What other questions, please, if you have any? I believe I did cover everything that I wanted to now.
So the start time is at 8 or 8:30?
The start time for what?
For EOA test.
It varies based on when the students get situated and when the materials get delivered to the rooms.
So basically the kids should arrive school at 8, not 8:30, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
8,
all right.
8 o'clock is the arrival time.
Okay.
The test is untimed, so most children finish, you know, certainly before lunchtime. But unlike in other years, we can't take students from one class and then sort of say, okay, there's 2 students here still working, 3 students there still working, and then combine them. We're not allowed to do that. So everybody will be in the same room. So students should bring a book, a good one. We're waiting on more information on that, on the algebra exam. It is being given. Do we know when the DOE was? We don't even know if there's going to be an SHSAT next year, let alone for a date. I think that's a great question. I think you need to. That's a question I think you need to direct to the perhaps candidates for the CEC, for your elected officials, and for anyone else that at the DOE that might care to listen to what your view as a parent is. My view as a principal is that, you know, we are here to educate all students and provide the best opportunity for every single student, whoever they may be, to reach their fullest potential. And beyond that, you know, if there are things that you would like to see, whether they're regarding an SHSAT or screens or not, or whatever it might be that you want, I would really encourage you to get involved and make your voice heard. Whatever your opinion is, whatever you feel, because it's the people and it's you, the parents, who will ultimately decide what the schools are going to look like in your community. It's all on you. It's the people that you elect. It's the people who you're involved with. It's the views that you put out there. It's your community, and as it should be, And I would just say, you know, if you don't make your voice heard, you probably shouldn't complain much about what the outcome is. I don't know. That's just one man's opinion. For those who don't opt in to take the state test, do they stay home and learn remotely on those days? Yes, and possibly asynchronously. All right. Well, back to you, Mr. Labella. And thank you very much, parents. Thank you for listening, and thank you for your questions. Please, I'm only an email away. Just give a shout out. We'll be sending whatever emails Mr. Labella would like to send out on his behalf. So hopefully we can continue the seamless nature of our communications. It was always very, very important to us, and it remains very important to us that communication line between the school and the PTO and families is wide open. And we're looking forward to continuing to be able to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Berman. I'm sure that there will be a seamless transition to the new system. So one other question there that, my child who is not taking the test does not go to school tomorrow, even though it is a B day.
If it is your child's day to go to school, they go to school. Absolutely. Nobody gets to stay home on your scheduled day. No, yes, that your child should go to school if they're not taking the test. And it's their day.
Thank you for that. And also, can we opt in for the math state test?
I do believe you can.
What's the
Yeah.
deadline for that?
I don't have that handy. Let me see if I can look that up real quick.
While he's doing that, any other questions? Carla?
Mr. Berman, Stephanie said Monday, the 26th. It'll
Okay.
open till Thursday and will close on Thursday, the 29th. This is what Stephanie said.
Thank you, Mrs. Pissarro.
Thank you,
Sure.
Mrs. Pizarro.
Okay. Great.
Okay, she's gonna confirm it, but that's what she remembers.
Great.
Okay.
Mr. Berman, I don't understand this question. I'm sorry. Eighth
Sure.
grader got only option for ELA and science. What about math state test?
It was maybe Mrs. Pissarro can clarify that. Is that what you were saying? But my understanding was that opportunity to register was there were you could have registered for the eighth graders for the ELA, the math, and the science exam. If that was not the case, we'll be sending out more information about registering for those exams.
Good evening, Mr. Berman. I was the one who wrote about the eighth grader because we got only the form when we have to do it. It was only ELA and the science test. So we understood that is instead of math test, they're gonna do the regions.
No.
Okay.
If that was the case,
yes, we only got ELA and a science. There wasn't math, so we were surprised.
we'll be sending out the math then.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
You're welcome. Sorry about that.
No
Yeah, I
problem.
guess so. I guess everybody's saying that the math wasn't on the form.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that's because all the eighth graders are taking the algebra exam this year, or they're eligible to take the algebra exam this year. And
Stephanie has just said that the eighth graders cannot double dip. So if they're taking the algebra, they cannot take the New York State exam. They can't
it has to be one or the other.
one or the other.
Not even one or the other. If they're taking algebra, it's not an option.
If they're taking algebra, it's not even an option. They can't take one or the other. If they're taking algebra, then they have to take the regions.
We do have some students though who are not in the algebra class, and
Right.
so those students, and we'll be dealing with those separately.
Right.
So
Definitely.
so I'm sorry if there's any confusion about that, but
Are the
yeah.
dates correct, Steph?
I'm looking through the email. But it was one of these emails that's
okay, so is there another question here? We'll be taking the classes. No, they will not. they'll be with that same group. Well, 100% remote students will be able to take the algebra exam. That's unclear at this point. Do we need to sign the ELA math?
Yes, if you did not take English, you could still take math.
From remotes,
Correct.
how will they make up their classes? I don't know what you mean by make up their classes. They're probably not going to make up their classes. Not sure what you mean, Mrs. Huntraw.
Mr. Berman?
Yes.
I was just curious because their classes will still continue if, I just didn't know if there was a plan or if they were responsible for getting homework for the class.
No, they don't, they're not responsible for going and finding that stuff out. It's going to be fine. Don't worry about it.
All right, thank you.
The teachers will work it out with them. I don't, they shouldn't be burdened with those sorts of things. So we'll take care of that with them. Can we have a Chinese translator during the meetings? That would be, can we do that, Mr. Labella? Is that something that FACE can help us?
If you guys help me, there are ways to go about it. I've never been able to figure that out by myself. If we want to get our heads together and work out a Zoom where we do that, I'm certainly willing to try.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a matter of setting up breakout rooms, that's pretty easy to do.
Thank you, Dennis. So I sent an email to the DOE asking them to enable that feature, and I never heard back. Maybe if we double and triple team them, maybe that would be more helpful.
Yeah, Carla, perhaps you can contact Mr. Chin about that. The interpreter option for Zoom for PTO meetings. That would be great.
I'll do that first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay.
It may not be Bill, it may be higher up.
I'll look into it at least. I'll start with Bill.
Thank you, Carla. I do apologize. I would love to have, we're almost there, right? Where the technology is such so that language is not going to matter, right? We'll all have universal translators on our clothing, and whatever language that we understand will be fed to us.
Right.
Didn't they have that episode in Star Trek?
Yes, they did.
So as far as the algebra regions, it may be that students who pass the class may not need to take the regions. So in that case, they would not have either assessment. So I hope that clears things up with the algebra regions.
So are there any other questions? Anything at all? It's been pretty good here. If there's nothing else in the chat, I'm going to make a motion to end the meeting. It's 8:09. Anybody second it?
Second.
Thank you, Madeline. So the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. Stay safe, get vaccinated, and we'll see you next month.